Thank you so much, Anita. I have a request for everyone. The Capitol Museum is open. We need to let people come through. We can get a $1,000 fine. And already 2 groups of people have been directed to the rear. Please, when there are people coming, they need to be allowed to come through. Next, we have Lisa Ann Benham from the ACLU here in Tallahassee.
Nobody tried to stop me coming through. Nuts.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Ann Benham, and I'm the president of the Tallahassee chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union of Florida. As a college freshman on the 10th anniversary of Roe v. Wade, I knew we would likely spend our entire adult lives defending our right to choose. But I never imagined that we would have to defend our fundamental right to access birth control. Who among us would have believed 30 years ago that the government would try to make it legal for employers to require us to disclose deeply personal information just to receive insurance coverage for a medication prescribed by a physician? From its beginning more than 90 years ago, the ACLU has stood firmly with American women, defending their personal privacy and their reproductive freedom as vital constitutional liberties. Our ability to decide when and whether to become a parent without interference from the government is an essential to opportunity. The opportunity to gain a good education, the opportunity to shape our economic futures, the opportunity to participate in the democratic process. The history of women as property ended with women taking control of their reproductive freedom. Are we now going to move back in time and surrender these freedoms? No! In its earliest years, the ACLU defended the free speech rights of activists like Margaret Sanger and Mary Ware Dennett as they struggled to bring birth control into the public dialogue. Who then would have dared to think that nearly a century later, the misguided leaders of the Florida legislature would seek to ban the word uterus from the House floor? We can say it, and we have the right to control it. In 1965, the ACLU filed a friend of the court brief in Griswold versus Connecticut. In this case, the U.S. Supreme Court found that a law prohibiting the use of any drug, medicinal article, or instrument for the purpose of preventing contraception violated the right to marital privacy. Griswold is the foundation of the essential right to privacy that we must once again band together today to fight for. Every day, through education and advocacy, the ACLU stands against the relentless attacks on our right to make private decisions about our reproductive choices. And rest assured, as legislatures here in Florida and across the country foolishly try to impose their beliefs on our rights and choices, the ACLU will be there defending our privacy and our freedom. Dissent is the highest form of patriotism. Amen. Let them hear our patriotism. Thank you.
Way to go!
Is Donna Sludiak here? Donna, you're next. Donna is president of Florida Now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm president of Florida National Organization for Women, as she had said. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm excited to see so many people that are willing to send a message to the legislators, the ones in this city and all across the country. Those little comfy office chairs of theirs are about to become hot seats.
All right!
They started a war on women. They've got a war with women.
Yeah.
When we're through with them, they're going to know they've been in a war. We're going to fight them on every level. We're going to use social media like Facebook and Twitter. We're going to email, we're going to telephone, we're going to write letters to the editor. But most of all, we're going to vote.
Yeah.
We're going to hit them in that voting booth so hard, they won't know what hit them. And if we don't like the way the next ones act, we'll vote them out too.
All right.
and we'll keep voting until they get it right.
Right back there. Left.
Take away our basic health care, you're out of here. We must keep birth control accessible and affordable. Take away our basic right to privacy, see ya. Abortion must be safe, affordable, and accessible. Keep trying to pit us against each other with these made-up mommy wars? No, we're not going to take that. Refuse to educate our children? What have they done to with education cuts? Our children will be educated. You gonna send our children off to war in a place we don't belong? No, we're not going to let you kill our children. Keep giving tax breaks to the 1% while we're losing our homes. You're out of here, dude. Just last week, Rick Scott vetoed funding for rape crisis centers. Are we not important enough that we need care when we get raped? The Violence Against Women Act passed finally. 31 male senators voted against it, including dear sweet Marco Rubio. Are we that unimportant? No, we're not. But we have to fight back. We have to start now. We have to fight hard. We have to tell everybody no, we are not going to take this crap. Join groups like NOW. Join groups of like-minded people. There is strength in numbers. And if you can't find somebody to go with you, go anyway. We will vote. And it's an old saying, but we will remember in November. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. If you look, some of us have these sashes, and there's a Jennifer that ordered hers, and we have it. So if Jennifer is here and needs her sash, Joan Hendricks has it. Right there. Okay, I'd like to introduce Emily Capinetti. She's with Planned Parenthood. And Planned Parenthood is one of the reasons that I'm involved right now. So, welcome, Emily.
Woo! Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Capinetti, and I'm the statewide legislative director for the Florida Association of Planned Parenthood Affiliates. And from the bottom of my heart, I am so proud to be here with all of you at the March Against the War on Women in Tallahassee. Thank you for being here. As you know, across the state, we're joining other Floridians at rallies in Orlando and Fort Lauderdale. And throughout the country, from New York to New Mexico, from Alaska to Alabama, we're joining tens and thousands of Americans who are united to defend women's rights and the pursuit of equality. Today, our message is clear and our voices are strong. Enough is enough. Stop the legislative attacks on women, our health, and our rights. Here at home, the war on women is in full gear. Last year, we saw 18 invasive, dangerous, and downright offensive anti-choice bills filed, with the governor signing 4 of them into law. And a 5th legislative attack passed in 2011, placing an amendment to our Florida Constitution on the 2012 ballot that hurts women's health. As if that weren't enough, this year, 9 anti-choice bills were introduced during Florida's legislative session. I am so happy to report that last month, the 2012 legislative session ended without any anti-choice bills being passed. Thank you. But that does not mean that anti-choice politicians didn't try. Bills that would endanger women's health passed out of Florida House and Senate committees, and anti-choice leadership even tried to break protocol and cram legislation through in the final days of session. But because you stood strong with Planned Parenthood and contacted your elected officials and let them know that women's health matters, we were able to beat back all the anti-choice bills this year. That is because of you and people like Diane, and I want to say thank you. However, we know that the war on women is still being raged across the country, and that, friends, is why we're all here today. At the state and federal levels, we are witnessing one of the most devastating legislative assaults on women's health care. Anti-choice politicians don't want women to have the option to terminate pregnancies. They don't want anyone to get educated about how to avoid pregnancy, and they don't want us to have access to birth control. Let's be clear. Anti-choice politicians have declared war on women's health. This means attempts to stop Planned Parenthood from opening up new health centers here in Florida and efforts to stop health insurance coverage for contraception. Whether they're here in the State House or up in the U.S. Capitol, anti-choice elected politicians are playing a cruel game of politics at the expense of women's health. We're going to need everyone's help over the next 6 months to defeat an amendment to our state constitution that allows politicians to put a woman's health in danger. I urge you, again, from the bottom of my heart, to vote no on Amendment 6 in order to protect women's health. Vote no on Amendment 6. We are not going to let them get away with these relentless attacks. Again, on behalf of Planned Parenthood, I am so proud to be standing up for women's health and rights with all of you here today. Thank you for being here and making your voice heard. And again, a special thank you to Diane Wilson and UniteWomen.org for bringing us all here together today so we can tell America, women's health matters. Thank you.
Now I'm proud to introduce Samantha Gordon, all the way from Washington, D.C., NARAL.
Oh, good afternoon. It's beautiful out here. It's 60 degrees in D.C., so I jumped at the opportunity to come out here in Tallahassee, so thank you so much. And thank you to Diane and to Rachel, to all the dedicated organizers of this awesome Unite Women rally. I'm so excited to be with you here today because this is about you, Florida. This is about attacks to your freedom and privacy. We're talking about more and more politicians playing doctor, practicing medicine without a license when it comes to women's health. These are the very same politicians who advocate for less government, but want more government in our you-know-what. It wasn't too long ago that these politicians ran on a platform of building the economy and creating jobs, but they pulled the old bait and switch move and have relentlessly attacked women's reproductive health. Talk about being out of touch with America's priorities and values. Well, Florida, I stand with you today to say enough is enough. Aren't we tired of these out-of-touch politicians attacking women's health? Aren't we tired of the scare tactics on women seeking abortion care? Aren't we tired of their threats to defund family planning and women's health centers? And aren't we tired of birth control being threatened when 99% of Americans have or will use some form of contraception in their lifetime? And aren't we tired of politicians making decisions about our family planning when we are fully capable of making them ourselves? So men and women of Florida, I stand before you to ask you to challenge these politicians over the next coming months. I want you to challenge them to trust women, to stand up for women, or get out of our way. We want politicians to trust women to make personal health decisions with her doctor. We want them to trust that women are fully capable of planning their own families. We want them to stand up for women when birth control is under attack. We want them to stand up for health care centers that help to make sure that families get the health care they need. And we want them to stand up for the Affordable Care Act, which would cover contraception and maternity care for millions of women. Or you know what? They can get out of our way. They can get out of our way as we make our way to the voting booth and vote these out-of-touch politicians out of office. Because let me tell you something, this war on women, this war on reproductive health, this war on preventative health care, this war is real. And it's time now to draw the line in the sand. We must challenge these politicians to trust women to make their own health care decisions, stand up for and protect access to this health care, or get out of our way come election day. Yeah. So guess what, guys? Now here's the real challenge, and it's your own. Take action. Keep the momentum of this rally alive and make it translate to something bigger than it is today. I need you to talk about what you've heard today with someone in your life who you never talked to about being pro-choice. It takes the inconvenience sometimes of wading into uncertain waters, of starting a conversation where you're not sure where it might go. Honestly, you might walk into some firestorms. I guarantee you, you'll feel the heat. None of this is easy, but it is important. Remember that you have the power to reach out to at least one person and make a connection, to ensure that vote by vote, we end this war on women. I need you to show up every day between now and November 6th. Post about choice on Facebook or Twitter. Volunteer at phone banks. Take a pro-choice friend, neighbor, or family member with you to a pro-choice event. I need you to stand up for those elected officials who have stood up with us and fight back when they are being attacked. I need you to speak up when you hear anti-choice comments or read them online. Big things happen right here in this battleground state of Florida. So make it happen and make it happen now. Make being pro-choice a deal breaker. Make sure these politicians trust women, stand up for women, or get out of our way come election day. We're counting on you, Florida, so hold them accountable. Thank you so much for having me.
Next, we have Amanda James with Equality Florida.
What's up, Tallahassee? I know that some of you came a long way to be here today, but today we are all Tallahasseans, and we are all women, okay? We are all women. We are feeling it right now. My name is Amanda James. I am the co-chair for the Tallahassee Steering Committee for Equality Florida. Equality Florida is the largest LGBT, and if you don't know what that means, that is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender civil rights organization in the state of Florida. We have offices all over Florida. We mobilize volunteers to get legislation passed that greatly affects you, whether you are LGBT or not. It's hot up here. I just want to say that. So, I want to get real here for a second, because when I usually speak in front of people, I'm preaching to the choir. And I thought it was very interesting that when I knew I was going to speak here, I actually felt fear. I'm afraid to speak in front of people who I do not necessarily know are the choir. I'm a lesbian. I just came out to a whole crap load of people. And that is scary. That is scary. It's nerve-wracking. I just want to put that out there. That's where I'm coming from right now. Because that's a real fear, and that really is what this is all about. So why does this matter to Equality Florida? When I was offered the opportunity to speak, I was faced with a challenge. I had to figure out how the LGBT community plays a role in women's liberation. The obvious connection is that lesbians are women, so obviously it affects our community. Once I started doing some digging, I learned that our connection to the women's movement is much more complex than simply saying we are women. Today we stand here because we are not done yet. We, as women, still face the oppression that sexism has bestowed upon us. Not only related to equal pay and equal opportunity, but also in how we perceive people. Whether we like it or not, we pass judgment on people through the goggles of sexism. We must overcome and destroy it in order to achieve true equality. In the LGBT community, sexism rears its ugly head and shows up as homophobia. Homophobia works effectively as a weapon of sexism because it is joined with heterosexism. Heterosexism is the systemic display of homophobia in the institutions of society. To be perceived as a lesbian threatens male dominance and control, which is at the very core of sexism. To be named a lesbian threatens all women, with great loss. Any woman who steps out of role risks being called a lesbian. The fear of loss is so great that every woman is faced with the pressure to maintain her role as a woman in society. Either you're in or you're out. Let me remind you, I am a lesbian, and I'm out. Although every woman is hurt by homophobia, by its control of her life, through fear and by its effect in limiting social change, lesbians suffer the most damage because we are double victims of sexism and homophobia. From men and heterosexual women, even feminist and progressive women. This is very real. We have an opportunity here to take the final steps in squashing sexism and succeeding in true liberation for all women. At issue here is not whether women can be married or have children or wear makeup and high heels. At issue is whether women can make choices against our best interests of independence and freedom in order to gain conditional approval or protection at a high cost. At issue here is not that all women should be lesbians in order to be free, but that we understand that women's struggles for independence and freedom and self-empowerment are identified with lesbians as a way to frighten women away from them. All of us as women need to look at what blocks our empowerment. At issue here is not just our sexual identity, but our freedom. I want to challenge you. I have a challenge that I really want everybody to do. You could do it secretly, you could tell people about it, but do it. My challenge is this. Write a letter to someone you love intensely, whose loss you would find devastating, or someone who has power in your life, and tell them that you are a lesbian. Explore the fears this letter writing calls up and analyze their source and their power over you. It is only when we can face our fears and resist homophobia and heterosexist assumptions and attacks that we can begin to end male power and control over our lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Now we have Representative Michelle Raywinkle-Vaselinda here with us.
Hello, how are you out there? My daughter graduated from FSU yesterday, and I am so proud because education empowers women. There are some very powerful people who are afraid of women's power. Very powerful people who are afraid of women as change agents. And that's what this war on women is all about. I bring you greetings from the Florida legislature, and I hesitate sometimes to say that because what the legislature has tried to do has been to disempower women. But this year, we have to take victories where we find them. We have to take them where we find them, and this year, no anti-choice bills were passed. None. Congratulate yourselves because you helped so very much for that to happen. On the House floor, I looked up, because I have some folks that watch me from my church, and I looked up and I said, to dance with my church is a very, very dangerous dance. Because to dance with my church doesn't only mean to be anti-choice, but it also means to be anti-death penalty. It also means to be anti-masturbation. It also means to be anti-in vitro fertilization and vasectomy. And I didn't say the masturbation word up there because I don't think Speaker Cannon is all that fond of that kind of thing. But the point being is that we have got to make sure that people understand that this is a war against women, because no one wants all those things to go away. So they dance with the churches when it's appropriate, but they don't dance with them when it's not. And that's hypocrisy. We cannot go back to where there's no contraception, no choice. What does that do for women? It leaves us back in the dark ages, and we cannot do that. Here's my message to you today, because I'm going to tell you who those powerful people are. How many people know what ALEC is? I want everybody who's out there who doesn't know who ALEC is, or who's standing next to someone who doesn't know who ALEC is, to tell them, or the person who doesn't know who ALEC is, to go research the American Legislative Exchange Council. The American Legislative Exchange Council. They are the ones that are putting these bills all over the 50 states. Not because of a religious thing, but because they know that women are change agents and they don't want that change to happen.
I've got an ALEC petition.
An anti-ALEC petition?
Everybody's signed. We're wanting to resign.
You wanting to resign?
The state chairman of ALEC.
Oh, you want him to resign?
As the chairman of ALEC.
Okay. All right, yeah. All right, so there's a petition down here, so please get to that. The other thing is, look at the Koch brothers and Grover Norquist. Yeah. Those are the folks that are so afraid of women. So afraid of women as change agents, so do that. The other thing I want to ask you to do before I sit down is I want you to ask women to run for office. I want you to ask women to run for office. There should not be a seat anywhere in this state that doesn't have a woman running. We should be supporting that wholeheartily. We have got to get women in power. We've got to get women making more money. We've got to get women saving money. We've got to get women giving contributions to campaigns. We've got to get women tough, strong, and ready to fight. Because this is not over. So how many of you out there are ready to fight? Yeah, all right, that's good. I'm going to let you hear some other speakers. But fight, don't whine. Fight, 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 fight. Learn how to fight with everything you've got. Your physicality, your fundraising, your writing, your vote, your moral courage at the ballot box, and your moral courage to stand up and be a candidate, to raise money for candidates, to make money, to save money, to invest it, to be a force in this world. That's what we have got to do, and mentor women. You don't have to mentor just one. Just turn around and mentor as many women as you possibly can to help us be strong. Thank you very much for being out here today. Thank you for listening to me, and take good care.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Amy Conan with the National Women's Liberation out of Gainesville. We have a lot of group coming out of here from Gainesville.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Amy Conan, and I'm speaking on behalf of National Women's Liberation. And it is great to be here today in the company of so many women and men who are fighting for freedom. Are you angry? Are you as outraged as I am? All over the country, our elected representatives are trying to restrict access to birth control and to abortion. For decades, feminists have been fighting tooth and nail against these rollbacks. In fact, here in Florida, in Tallahassee, Florida, in 1989, 10,000 women and men marched to protest then Republican Governor Bob Martinez's proposed restrictions on abortion. I don't know how many of you remember that. It was one of my very first feminist actions. 10,000 people came to Tallahassee on a Monday. That session was shut down. That special session was shut down and no restrictions were passed. And I think that it's probably entirely because there were 10,000 people outside the Capitol watching, shouting, and protesting.
Where are they today?
But they keep on coming back. Here in our own state, also, they're piling more and more restrictions on what we can and can't do with our own bodies.
Anybody else over here? That lady over there?
It's almost like our government wants us to have as many babies as possible, and they don't like it when we refuse our reproductive duties, do they?
No.
They want to take away our strike weapons.
No, wait.
Then they have the nerve to hold a congressional hearing on birth control made up entirely of men. It reminded some of us of a 1969 New York State legislative hearing on abortion law reform that was busted up by women's liberationists. The panel was composed of 13 men and a nun, and I found myself thinking, where's the nun? We don't even get a nun now. When those women busted up that hearing, they said, women are the experts. We are the ones who get pregnant. We're the ones who give birth. We are the experts. And it isn't just birth control. Just this month, union-busting Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker repealed Wisconsin's Equal Pay Act. That's just one fun thing. And meanwhile, they're slashing billions from public education, child care, health care. They're going after our ability to even make a decent living by attacking unions and collective bargaining. They're making it as hard as possible to keep from having children. At the same time, they're preventing us from being able to support and raise the children that we have. They don't want to pay one thin dime for the uprearing of the next generation of people. We know that we will never be on equal footing with men if we can't control when and if we have a child. And that's why abortion is so fundamental. That's why birth control is so fundamental. But we need a lot more. If we're going to move closer to women's liberation, we need individual men to pull their weight at home. We need the whole society to pull its weight. High quality education, national health care, public child care, and on, not tied to marriage and not tied to a job, are right just as an individual. Now, you might think that the answer to all of this is to just elect the right people to office. And I vote in every election. But even the best progressive legislators, and we've heard from some of them today, can only do so much if we're not out here in the streets, backing them up, and in some cases, give them a little push, right? We won a victory when the Obama administration upheld regulations requiring insurance companies to pay for birth control. But what a lot of people don't know is just a couple of months prior, that same administration blocked over-the-counter access to the morning after pill, despite an overwhelming recommendation from the FDA that it be available right next to the condoms, with Obama's full stated support. If If not for that action, women of all ages would have access at any time of day without having to show their ID to a pharmacist or answer insulting questions about their sex life in a drugstore line. I remember a few years ago when I myself needed the morning after pill. I went down to my pharmacy and I had one baby on my hip and my son right next to me, and the pharmacist, pharmacy tech, I don't know, maybe he was 20, I have no idea how old he was, asked me for my ID. Now I was flattered that he thought that I was under 18, but what a ridiculous and humiliating exercise to make women go through, and if you're not of age, you can't get it. Electing better people to office is only one small part of the solution, because what has derailed some of the egregious attacks we've seen this year so far? Who made the Komen Foundation reverse its decision to pull funding from Planned Parenthood? Who did that? We did it. That outpouring of outrage from women and men all over the country is what did it. Who got advertisers to pull their dollars from the Rush Limbaugh show after he called women sluts and whores? We did. Our anger, our pressure. How did the morning after pill move from being a prescription-only medicine to something you can get at the drugstore? Feminist pressure, that's what. Now, imagine what we could accomplish if every woman who posted a Facebook status about Rush Limbaugh and how mad she was here with us right now. Imagine if all those women were here right now and not just saying enough is enough. What if we were all standing together demanding the things we want and need, like free birth control for every woman who needs it, free abortion for every woman who needs it? But we're not going to win more, and we're not going to move forward without a visible movement, loud and in the streets. So the last thing I want to say, today, join a movement, join a group, join a feminist group. Feminist organizations have won us the rights we've got now.
That's right.
And it's the only way we're going to fight back and win more. Thank you.